get a wave. Can I get a squat? I have the envious position of standing in front of you before you get to food and to beer. And I'm going to talk dirty to you. I'm going to talk crap. I'm going to talk feces. All right? And I'm going to get some slides. So we've gone to crap. I'm bringing you down. Sorry about that. So I want to share a little bit of one of my passions. I've had the fortunate opportunity to travel the world and be part of international development programs. And a particular passion of mine is around environmental health and sanitation. And it's an issue that is a stepchild, often forgotten. If you think about the Sustainable Development Goals, Millennium Development Goals, it's the one that's least productive, most behind, the one that's underfunded, and it's a big problem. My focus in the last couple of years has been around urban sanitation. And you've got a lot of urban sanitation situations that are deplorable, horrible, not something that we can tolerate, right? So we need to try to do something about it. So here in India, you've got a functioning toilet? No. You've got an open defecation field immediately outside the toilet. The toilet's so bad, you go in front. And just imagine the public health and the environmental implications of that behavior accumulating over time, where you've got thousands of people crowded into an urban slum. We've got a technology problem. We've got a maintenance and service problem, all of which have solutions. But a lot of the solutions in the developing world are never going to work. All right, we've got funding challenges. You've got land constraints, water issues. The way that we treat sewer in the United States or in many parts of the world is not acceptable, not fundable, not something that we can take forward in the developing world. So the challenge is to reinvent. And we need to reinvent urgently. It's a big problem. So we've got more than 2.5 billion people around the world that don't have access to safe sanitation. You've got over 1 million people without access to anything. They open defecate. That's a scientific term. 600 million people in India alone open defecation. And today, 2016, 800,000 people die. Children under 5 die of diarrhea. We know how to deal with diarrhea, right? That's not a problem that should continue to plague us in today's world and the technologies that we have before us. Urban sanitation is a particular concern. So where we have big, growing cities, urbanization is growing very, very fast. You've got a public health issue, you've got an environmental issue, you've got a health and dignity issue, you've got an access issue for minority groups in particular in these particular settings. Around the world, many emerging market countries are rapidly urbanizing. We're going to be more urban than rural for the first time in 2025. And in most of these mega cities and emerging markets, they may have a sewer system that serves 10%, 20%, 30%. And even when they have a sewer system, it doesn't treat. It collects and it just takes it to the next river, to the ocean. Right? There's no treatment of that waste, even though it may be collected. And in most of the middle-sized cities, there's no treatment whatsoever. So this is something we can address, but we're going to have to rethink the way we've been doing pipe sewage, the way we do waste treatment sewage plants. So with the help of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they launched a couple of years ago the Reinvent the Toilet Challenge. And RTP actually is one of the heartbeats around the world for this issue. We've probably $30 million of funded research between Duke, NC State, RTI in this area alone. A lot of very good research looking at how do we recreate, how do we treat waste that's off the grid? How do we treat the waste at the site where it's collected? How do we treat so that we address all the pathogens so that it doesn't have to be handled and we create this this food chain, this value chain, where we're just spreading the pathogens down the line. We're looking for a system that's affordable, right? We're dealing with emerging market countries, low income, public budgets are small, municipalities don't have the resources to fund big pipe sewage systems. And lastly, this is an aspirational issue, right? Flush toilets are aspirational. Pipe sewage, maybe not aspirational for everyone. But the way we think about off-the-grid sanitation can serve the emerging market, but it also can serve Scarborough, it can serve Durham, it could be many other parts of the world, right? So RTI has a technology that we've developed. We're at the prototype stage. We're now testing in the field in India, about to go to South Africa next year. I just want to walk you through that technology. So this is a processing unit. We're basically trying to recreate a waste treatment plant underneath a toilet seat. So someone uses the toilet, the waste comes down, the liquids are isolated, separated from the solids. The liquids go into a treatment tank system, 3-tank system. There you have electrochemical disinfection. No chemicals are added, but we're using electrical charge to treat the urine, and that goes into a treatment and reprocessing process. At the same time, we've got the solids being separated. We're turning the solids into a fuel. So we turn it into a dried, go through a macerated drying process. We create a fuel pellet that then drops down into a cook stove gasifier. That generates thermal energy, which we're then harvesting, convert that to electricity, and that's the power that we use to run the electrochemical disinfection system. I've got a 1-minute animation video. I get a little help in the back to activate that animation. So this is designed for public or shared facilities. I'm going to talk dirty to you now. The solids come down, they're dried. We're using the heat that we generate to dry. Goes onto a dish, drops into a pelletized fuel, and it drops down to a very small gasifier. That energy is converted, it's stored into a traditional car battery, truck battery. We use that power then to treat the liquid using electrochemical disinfection. This is a very low-tech fuel cell. So the innovation here is less about the individual components, but it's the integration that we've been able to put this system and process together. So where we are now, we're in India. We're testing at a site. We're learning a lot about behavior issues. We're learning about what the vegetarian diet does versus a meat diet, and how that generates into our fuel equation. And we're also dealing a lot with business models of how do you incentivize people to use the toilet? What if someone could come to the toilet, bring solid waste? That's an additional fuel source for us, right? And they make a contribution, then they don't have to pay to use the public toilet. We can have that additional fuel, goes into our solid processor. We've got more energy to run. So those are some of the things we're playing with. We're at the prototype stage. We're testing on an everyday basis. We've got regular users. It's working. We've got challenges with respect to how fast we can batch the solids and how quickly we can turn the energy fuel from the solid feces into fuel. But the individual module processes are working quite well.